this video. So basically, I'm just going to let the video play and you guys be able to watch it through Screencastify. Hopefully it works
The remains of hominids, a type of creature identified as having some characteristics of both apes and humans, have been unearthed in several South African locations. About 200,000 BCE, Homo sapiens, or modern man, was known to have inhabited the regions of South Africa. These early men were hunters and gatherers, following herds of animals the same as any of Africa's predators. Those in South Africa are remembered as Bushmen, but they were also known as the Khoisan. By the year 500 CE, or in the current era, a number of native tribes from the north had begun moving into the region. Although they were separate from each other, they shared the Bantu language. Among these tribes were the Soto, Tsonga, the Xhosa, and many smaller tribes. It was an Iron Age, and the tribes had mastered the making of metal tools and weapons. They raised great numbers of domesticated animals, especially cows, goats, and believe it or not, ostriches. Similar to feudal Europe, the small kingdoms in their fortified villages continually warred among themselves in attempts to expand territory and gain wealth. The year was 1488 CE, when Portuguese sea captain Bartholomew Dias brought his ship to what he calculated was the end of Africa, and he named it the Cape of Good Hope. In 1497, Vasco da Gama, another Portuguese sailor, succeeded in sailing beyond the Cape of Good Hope to India, and his voyage opened up the Far Eastern spice trade for Europe. 150 years later, in 1651, the Dutch East India Company, a giant trading firm from Holland, needed a supply port for its many merchant ships. The company sent Jan van Riebeck to establish the Table Bay Refreshment Station. It soon became known as Cape Town, and later, as spice trade shipping grew, it became the Cape Colony. At first, the local native tribe, the Khoikhoi, worked with the traders, supplying them with fresh meat and fruit for the ships. But soon, Dutch demands became too great, and in protest, the Khoikhoi refused to continue working for the Europeans, and many moved away. In response, the Dutch imported natives from Madagascar, Mozambique, and Asians from Malaysia as slaves. By the 1790s, the Cape Colony had grown to a population of nearly 14,000 Dutch citizens who controlled almost 15,000 slaves. Surrounding Cape Town, living in the interior, was a group known as the Trekboers, poor white immigrant farmers who also depended on the labor of slaves to survive. By the end of the 18th century, their way of life was coming to a close.